Common problems with model steam engines, part 4. Making bronze bushes for the connecting rods. This is a simple drilling and turning job. The bushes are carefully pressed into the small end of the connecting rod. Then I reassemble the engine and fit some glass oilers to the crosshead bars. And finally, I fix the valve gear linkages and set the valve timing. The first thing to do is to drill out the small end of the connecting rod. In this case, I've drilled it and reamed it 7/32 of an inch. And then I'm cleaning it up on a piece of quite coarse wet-to-dry sandpaper. I clean it up on the outside and the inside because I do not want any burrs to get in the way of pressing in the bushes. Then it's over to the lathe to actually make the bushes. I'm using a piece of free-cutting phosphor bronze. This cuts beautifully, unlike the red stuff which is really hard to cut and generally breaks drills and breaks reamers. What I did first was turn the diameter of the piece of phosphor bronze down to 7/32 of an inch, to be not quite an interference fit but a tight fit in the hole I drilled in the small end. Then I use a centre drill to make a hole in the end, and I drill it one drill size under 1/8, followed by a 1/8 reamer. It's worth mentioning that these are very small components, and these reamers and drills are quite easy to break, so take it easy. And now I'm parting off the first of the bushes. To save grovelling about in the chip tray to find it, I use a drill shank to catch it as it drops off once it's been parted off. If you don't do this, you will probably lose the component in the mess which is a chip tray, well, on my lathe anyway. Here's the second one, and the same principle, the drill shank, and I end up with two very nicely made, very accurate bushes, which are cleaned up on a piece of wet-to-dry sandpaper to remove any burrs. And now the bushes are ready to be fitted to the small end of the connecting rod. Whether you press them in with the vise, a hydraulic press or a hammer, you must put something between the forked end of the connecting rod, otherwise it will become very distorted in the process. I'm using Loctite 638 to hold them in place. Even though this looks a bit brutal, it's not, because I'm being very careful with the hammer, and it's well supported on this piece of brass hexagon. With the first bush in place, I turn it over and repeat the process for the other side. I might be using a bit too much Loctite 638, but it's going to be cleaned off anyway. So now the bushes are in place, it's time to clean up the whole assembly. I'm using a piece of 180 grit wet-to-dry sandpaper, and I'm not only cleaning up the two outer edges, I'm cleaning up the inside edges of the fork as well. This is my 1/8 reamer that you previously saw being used in the lathe, and although I reamed out the bushes in the lathe to 1/8 exactly, the bushes were a tight fit in the hole in the fork, so now they need re-reaming to make them exactly 1/8 of an inch diameter to take the crosshead pin. If you're doing a job like this, be very careful, because an 1/8 of an inch reamer is very small and it will break, and if it breaks then you have pain and problems and you have to do it again. Try not to force a reamer. You have to hold it as square as possible and let it do its own cutting at its own speed. Here you see it coming through the other side of the fork, and once it's gone a little bit further in, I'm going to try the pin and see whether everything's okay. I'm not using any cutting lubricant, it's not really required on a thing this size, and also phosphor bronze is a very slippery, easy to cut metal. If I was cutting steel with a reamer of this size, then I would use some cutting lubricant. But in this case I don't need to. Once the reamer is removed, I try the pin and it's a very good fit. And once again I clean up the outer and inner edges to remove any burrs left by the reaming process. And with a small amount of machine oil applied to the crosshead pin, it's a great fit in the small end of this connecting rod. So without further ado, I will fit the connecting rod to the engine. Again, lubrication first, then the pin, and once again, to prevent marking the metal, I'm using my piece of boiler banding to hold the pin in place while I tighten the nut. If you just use the pliers, it's going to mark the pin, and that looks unsightly because it's in a very visible part of the engine. Moving swiftly along, it's time to fit the crosshead with my new pin and my new bushed small end. And now there's no play whatsoever in the crosshead bearing. The whole thing's floating about a little bit because the cylinder's not fully tightened down to the bed plate. In this clip I'm bolting the cylinder back onto the bed plate. Initially I'm tightening the bolts and checking the alignment of the crosshead, and everything looks okay. You will notice on this clip also that the crosshead lifts slightly when the piston rod is out to its full extent. This of course could be that the piston is still fouling the inside of the cylinder cover, although I did machine some metal away from this area to give it a bit more clearance. What I think is happening is that I do not have the cylinder in the correct position, because the bolts on the brackets are elongated and I haven't put any positive pressure to move the cylinder forward. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to tighten the nuts that hold the brackets to the cylinder. So now the brackets are securely mounted to the cylinder and slack on the bed plate, and this allows me to move the cylinder back and forth, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of adjustment available. And in this clip I'm using a piece of brass bar to lever the cylinder forward. I'm not having to put a lot of pressure on this. I'm just holding the cylinder in the correct position while I retighten the mounting bolts. You could use any piece of metal or even a large screwdriver as a lever, but I always use brass because brass does not mark the work. Time now to reassemble the crosshead. But before I continue with the crosshead, I need to make a modification to the top guide bars. These are the top guide bars and they have some nice little brass oil cups. The owner of the engine has requested that I fit some glass oilers. The first thing to do though is to remove some more of the tool marks. There are quite a lot of tool marks on the top and they're very visible, so I spent a bit of time cleaning them up on a piece of wet to dry sandpaper. And here is a shot of the miniature glass oilers fitted to the crosshead guides, ready to provide very small but very essential lubrication for the crosshead as it goes back and forth in the guides. A quick word about setting the timing. I would always set the timing to start with at 90 degrees to the crank. What that means is that the largest lobe of the eccentric is at 90 degrees to the main crank web. Some eccentrics are difficult to set. This is an easy one because it has an external screw. Sometimes the grub screw is in the eccentric itself and you have to remove the eccentric strap. This is a real pain, and in that case I would normally drill a hole to get an Allen key in. For securing the eccentric to the crankshaft, I would always use an Allen head grub screw. This is a slot head grub screw and really it needs to be a lot shorter. The slot head needs to be down in the metal, because if you put too much pressure on it, one side of the slot head will just disappear. It will break. And the other problem, of course, in having this grub screw arrangement on the small collar which is attached to the eccentric is that it's quite thin and you can easily strip the threads, whereas if it's in the eccentric sheave, the thread is all the way down through the middle of the sheave, which is much better. And speaking of broken slot head grub screws, here's one. This is a grub screw in the rocking lever arm that operates the valve gear, and clearly one side of it is broken away, and luckily I can get a pair of pliers on it and remove it. Both of these link arms were very loose on the shaft. All that's holding them together is a 7BA bolt into a detent being the small drilled hole in the shaft, and it's not strong enough, so what I did, I modified the design. I used Loctite 638 to fasten the outer arm in place, and then I screwed in as tight as I could a 7BA bolt, clipped it off and filed it flush. And for the middle arm I did exactly the same thing, using Loctite 638 as well, but I left the bolt head in place should the arm ever need to be removed for any reason. That is it for this episode. Thanks for watching and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.